Can you land a six-figure job by building flashy AI demos, or is that just YouTube hype? AI agent demos are exploding on YouTube.
AI agent.
AI agents.
AI agent.
AI.
But if you're serious about breaking into companies like Anthropic or DataDog, you need way more than simple UI wrappers on AI or flashy end-to-end AI workflows. I get about 10 plus recruiter DMs a week for agent-focused AI roles. And I recently landed a job on Anthropic after 4 months of interviewing, and I'm here to tell you what these recruiters are actually looking for. And if you stay till the end, I'll give you free access to a resume analyzer that's helped hundreds of engineers stand out for these roles. So here is what's coming up. I'll share 5 key insights I picked up from interviewing at top AI startups and big tech firms, and what hiring managers are actually looking for. Then we'll jump onto a hands-on demo of your first production-grade AI agent using CrewAI. So here are some 5 key insights. The first is you'll want to deep dive on an applied AI project. My work didn't offer any opportunity for that, so I ended up creating my own open source AI productivity app on the side. This session will help you understand how to make a similar project to help you stand out to these recruiters. Step number 2, or insight number 2, advertise your AI work. After I updated my LinkedIn, I started receiving about 1 to 2 recruiters reaching out for AI roles every single day. This allowed me to focus on applying to only the top AI companies I wanted to work for, and also helped me have more time to actually prepare for all of these interviews as well. This brings us to step number 3. You're going to have to prepare for these interviews. These companies do have the traditional lead code and system design tests that you've had before, but they will also have dedicated design interviews on AI agent creation. This brings us to step number 4. Besides, of course, building your own AI agents to have expertise for these AI agent interviews, you'll also want to understand how AI testing and validation works. Everyone likes building cool AI agents, but for some of my interviews, 50% of the time was actually spent discussing how I would test and validate AI behavior. Look at Langsmith or other similar AI testing frameworks and apply them within your own projects so that you understand and stand out as a candidate for AI testing. And the last key insight is when applying, tailor your resume to that job role. I would spend up to 3 hours tailoring my resume per job for probably a grand total of 30 plus hours on this. It helps you stand out from among many of the candidates that applied to these roles. And now let's move on to the CrewAI demo. Hey everyone, so now I'm going to go over the Python library here of building an AI agent, multi-agent system together. So we'll go section by section, and I'll just explain at a high level how we implemented this agent to serve as inspiration for any future project you guys might have here as well. So here we are going to build a multi-agent application. So we're going to build the individual AI agents within LangChain and use CrewAI to essentially coordinate the actions of each of these AI agents together. The general motivation here, close that, is just, a nice to have use case for personalized product recommendations, price and brand comparisons, and just the ability to have AI use its analytical powers to review a large product and review data set per human natural language requests. In terms of the problem statement, we have, the products and review data sets added here. And our solution is going to focus on making a recommendation engine on top of that and have an AI be able to kind of compare the existing products we have, provide summarizations, FAQ, etc. Our core objectives, of course, going back before, essentially we want to help you gain the insights on how to kind of build an AI product on your own side that can help you in your own career and your own advancements in this space, but also learn the exact details of natural language processing, developing kind of context-aware responses, again, based on our internal CSV datasets here, and having kind of this real-time customer assistance. So actually having an AI product that people might really want to use within their day-to-day life. At the end of this session, we're going to be essentially building 2 agents, one agent who can kind of give personalized product recommendations, another agent who can give kind of a review analysis as well, and then using CrewAI to kind of coordinate the actions of both of those agents together to get that cohesive end result. We'll show the kind of results at the end of this session as well. So at a high level, what you need to do, again, you need to install some of the necessary libraries. So as we mentioned, we're using LangChain and then CrewAI. At a high level, LangChain is a really great open source framework for having kind of code interact and orchestrate individual AI agents, more details later. And then CrewAI essentially allows you to have multiple different AI agents and has systems to help coordinate the actions of each of those individual AI agents. Awesome. So we have already run this, so we can see all of the requirements being installed. We have some imports being done here as well, just the various multiple kind of libraries that are necessary. We've added our own OpenAI API key. If you don't have one already, I highly recommend you go to OpenAI API key setups and get your own key that you can add here as well. And then let's go ahead and focus on actually building this first CSV agent. So this first one will essentially run on the products, and we're going to create a Pandas data frame AI bot over that. So Pandas, if you don't know, is a Python library to interact with CSV files. So we're going to show a bit of that here. You first, of course, need to upload the files. So I went ahead and did that already with the CSV files. If you were to run this Google Colab notebook, you'd essentially want to do the same. Here's just some basic information on how to actually read in the CSV files, basic file IO for now. We can go quickly through this at the moment. And then here are just some basic data plotting for that input CSV products data set. Now let's focus on the interesting part with AI, and that's going to be the AI chat agent. So usually an agent essentially means an AI, they can act in a independent manner to achieve an objective. On a high level, this is what it is. You essentially have an LLM who can choose a series of different tools and repeat calling them independently multiple times in order to satisfy the user's query. Going back to this product analysis AI agent, we'll first create that chat OpenAI AI prompt AI kind of call system using LangChain, and then we'll set the prompt. So again, let's show kind of what's going on here. Prompt engineering, kind of the main first part of any AI interaction is in creating that system prompt or instruction set to the AI, instructing it on how it should behave. So we have a simple, first connector to be able to make calls to OpenAI, but we also need to give it instructions. And that's what we're doing here in this section, where we're saying, hey, AI, you are a product recommendation assistant skilled in recommending products. And then your task is to essentially suggest the products based on these explicit criteria. And then we have some basic guidelines for how that AI should behave. Now, this is a bit of kind of the next step where we want to have a Pandas data frame agent for data analysis. So what we've done here is we've created a pre-built agent. So LangChain has a lot of pre-built agents which are pre-configured to kind of do certain actions for you. This one in particular is an AI agent kind of configured to interact with the Pandas data frame. I believe Pandas at a high level is a Python library for doing data analysis. So we are actually having an LLM dynamically generate the Python code for Pandas to read in the CSV data set of products.csv here. Now, we have a disclaimer. Obviously, having dynamically generated code is bad, and having an LLM or AI generated on the fly is even more risky. So keep that in mind. But it's still very impressive that we can just have this very simple setup and immediately have an AI agent that can essentially generate code dynamically to do and behave as a product recommendation specialist based on that product CSV. Again, we are kind of repeating some of the custom instructions here to kind of create this overall AI Pandas data frame agent. Let's move on then. And then, a quick example is like once we run this query product agent, which we defined above, it's going to essentially look through the product CSV, create some Pandas code to make some queries, and give back the result to you. So we asked it about, I think, some affordable women's socks, and it gave some information. So it's already intelligent enough to know it could not find any of that within the exact data set we provided, and give an answer saying, it's not within the data, I can't help you any further. Just going a bit more in detail here, you'll just see that the agent itself is simply wrapping that agent that we created above. We just gave it some additional instructions, like custom instructions that we already covered above here, to make that agent behave in a more specific manner. So just to emphasize, this LangChain create pandas data frame pre-built agent allows an AI to call pandas to make data queries, but we still need to add those system instructions to get that AI to behave specifically for our case, even though the pandas functionality exists under the hood within the agent. So we see that we created the agent, we created the kind of system instructions, and then we use that same agent down below, but with the enhanced query we defined above here to get that exact functionality that we want within our use case here. Awesome. So now we're going to go to the second agent, which is the review agent. This agent is going to help deal with the reviews.csv and allow us to interact with that data set in a natural human way as well. So the beginning is simple file IO. We're going to read in that CSV file, and then we're going to run some simple code to generate an actual SQLite database from that CSV file. So for this second agent, we wanted to kind of create a SQL agent, an AI agent that could use SQL commands to interact with the database. And in order to do that, we simply have to convert our CSV data set into a SQLite database for use by that SQL agent. So again, we have some simple commands we can run within SQL to interact with this new .db file. These are all kind of basic, CSV to SQLite conversions and SQL commands that we've seen so far. But now the real interesting part is, now we're going to create, under this next step, an AI agent that will actually generate the SQL queries to interact with that database file dynamically based on our user queries itself. So again, we're going to use a specific tool here called the SQL Database Toolkit, which essentially allows the AI to seamlessly interact with the SQL database. We're going to first set that up, and then we're going to essentially set up the basic instructions to the AI. And then we're going to finally put that all together into that AI-powered SQL agent. We have that essentially create OpenAI tools agent with the tools, which is going to be that previous SQL database toolkit, and then the prompt that we created above with these messages here. So again, a very similar pattern, and this is like a very general pattern for all AI agent creation. You have the tools that the AI can do. In our previous example above, for the product review agent, we had the Panda tool to allow the AI to interact with pandas. In this case, we have a SQLite tool, a tool that allows the AI to interact with SQL. And in the secondary part, we have our system prompt or instructions to the AI to behave in a certain way based on a user query. In this case, we just created a list of messages. And in the previous product Pandas case, we had a longer system prompt message as well. At the end of the day, it all comes down into simple text that we're giving to the AI. As I'm sure you guys all know, LLMs are very good as simple text in, text out. So at the end of the day, everything we're giving into the AI, including the tools, are all text. The tools are just text formatted in a certain way so the AI understands it can call certain tools with certain parameters, but everything from the system messages to the tool calls that the AI can make itself, that's just all one big block of text that the AI is getting, and we're just wanting to get text out from the AI. And in these specific cases, while it's a bit more abstract, essentially the AI is still generating text, but we have code built from the LangChain library that is essentially interpreting the AI text output as a tool command. So it says, okay, the AI wants to call this tool with parameter X, Y, and Z, and it immediately executes that method based on those parameters from the AI. So yeah, just some overall context there. Now we do have this AI-powered SQL agent with that combo of the tools and the prompts that I just discussed earlier. And then we can deploy that using an agent executor. So again, this is going to be a AI-powered SQL agent to essentially take in the SQL tool, take in our system prompt, and execute SQL commands based on what we ask that AI bot to do. All right, we ran a quick example here. So we can essentially have the AI execute SQL commands on our behalf. So again, I'm just asking, hey, suggest some top-rated accessories. This agent executor that we just created based on the reviews.db file, as we can see here, is essentially making the SQL queries to search based on the user request of suggesting top-rated accessories for men. We can see here, it is just trying to do that based on a dynamic SQL query within it. It gets some information back, and then it makes that end suggestion based on the information it saw from the SQL query that it made dynamically. And then other things we can do as well. Another user request, what do you think about a very specific product? We can see here, again, it is making that SQL query for that specific question the user had. It gets back those results from the reviews.db and then summarizes it back for the user to see here as well. So again, we just have a brief overview again of what happened there. Essentially, this SQL agent is dynamically generating SQL queries on behalf of our natural language queries. So a really cool way to now interact with a SQLite database or SQL database without using any of the SQL code in itself. So now, as our final stage, let's put both of our AI agents together, this products AI agent and this reviews AI agent, using CrewAI. So CrewAI, again, as we said before, allows us to orchestrate multiple AI agents working in collaboration to achieve a shared objective. So we're going to keep both of our agents, but we're going to use CrewAI as essentially a coordinator to coordinate when it needs to call which agent and how those agents should communicate together. So again, how we're going to do it, we're going to recreate that product recommendation agent. Again, we're going to see the same pattern. We're going to define the tools, and we're going to define the text kind of instructions for that AI agent. As you can see here, we are just briefly recreating the agents we created above. We are using the same tools and the general same instructions. We do have that Pandas tool, again, as a reframe. The Pandas tool is essentially a Python. It's a tool that allows the AI to kind of write Python commands for Pandas to interact with the CSV products dataset. So we do have that Pandas tool added here. And then we just have the system instructions. Okay, so if you're the product recommendation agent, you are trying to find the best products based on the user's needs with the Pandas tool. And then within CrewAI specifically, we're using the CrewAI agent, but we also want to use the CrewAI task, which is essentially saying, hey, this is a task that you're trying to do. This is the expected output. Again, all within a text format. One of the great beauties of LLMs, it allows us to interact with machines in a natural human language way. And now let's create that review agent. Again, it's going to be very similar. We're reusing a lot of the concepts when we created the full review agent before, but now we're essentially, again, recreating it within CrewAI. We create that tool again. We have that long input text and system prompt instructions to the AI. And then we kind of put it all together. We have that now new SQL agent with that tool for the SQL access that we showed above, and then that long instruction prompt that we see above here as well. We have some inputs, the tool again, to kind of analyze the actual sentiment received. And then we kind of put that all together to create the review sentiment analysis with these same goals, backstory, and the tools we defined above here, and then giving it another task, this time focusing on the review sentiment analysis. And then putting it all together within CrewAI, we create a crew, kind of a crew of agents that they like to have. Essentially, we have all of the agents we created above, all of the tasks we created for them as well. And then we just kind of kick it off and ask it to do something. So in our specific case here, let's just scroll up. We have asked it to find affordable men's accessories with good ratings and quality. we'll see that the coordinating AI agent of the crew here decided to first focus on the product recommendation specialist. We didn't actually tell it to run that first. The crew itself is expected to choose which one. Although I think the sequential in this case might actually mean, the agent's run will actually be done in that hard-coded sequential way. But, in these AI flows, you can just have it so that the exact agent that's called is also in itself dynamic as well. But again, we first run that product recommendation specialist. It thinks about what it needs to do. It calls that Pandas tool, and it gets some basic output based on the Pandas tool inputs it gave. And then it tries to kind of analyze that, gives us some output, and then we have that task completed. So that first product recommendation specialist agent is done. And now we move on to the review sentiment analysis. So essentially, the products found by the first agent are now fed to the review sentiment analysis to look for the reviews for that product. And then we'll see a bit of some messy output, but essentially this review sentiment analysis agent is going to kind of look at that reviews.db SQL file, generate a bit of text for the output, but you'll see it's also looking and generating the SQL commands to look within that SQL database as well. We get some basic SQL commands. I don't know why it's a bit repeated. These logs are a bit verbose at the moment and repetitive, but essentially you'll see at the end, if I just scroll down a bit faster, it will find the end result. It looks like it ran multiple SQL commands and that each of the commands are printed out multiple times, causing a bit of a longer output here. But as I continue to scroll down, we should see that output soon. I believe right now, it just had to look at like multiple products it received from the previous agent. And then now it's still trying to look at the sentiment of each one. It's looking at the sentiment of this specific product. And then it looks like it found the sentiment for the products it was looking for. And then now, since the product recommendation agent has given its output as well, the CrewAI kind of framework overall is going to summarize all of the answers that were given. So we'll have the review sentiment analyst giving that final answer based on the SQL commands it ran. And that's kind of the final answer we see here. And the task is done. The crew is done. The final output is simply the final output from that product recommendation task, the review sentiment agent at the end. So the end output of the last agent is the final output given by the overall crew execution. So that is a lot of details. Thanks for watching to this point. The main key takeaways, as we kind of alluded to during this presentation, are, a lot of this, there's a lot of different frameworks, a lot of things are done automatically for you. But at the end of the day, it's always really good to remember that these AI LLMs, it's really text in and text out. That's really all it's dealing with. All of the kind of SDKs and libraries you can use to interact with AI agents helps us build abstractions on what that text actually is. We might want to label certain pieces of text as a system prompt or a specific tool that the AI can call. And libraries like LangChain and CrewAI allow us to kind of represent all of those concepts as classes and pieces of code that make it easier to track over time. But essentially, at the end of the day, we're giving those text inputs. We're saying, hey, these are your instructions. These are the tools that you can call. And then we are expecting certain outputs. And then we can decide based on those outputs, whether to, show an error, show text to the user. Based on that text input, interpret it as a SQL command, interpret it as a Pandas command. Even if you have like a coordinating AI agent, interpret text as which AI agent, sub-AI agent should run as well. That text could be anything. So obviously the end results of an AI output, you can do anything with that. And thus you have a huge amount of flexibility. So in your own career, learning about AI agents, trying to get ahead or catch up with this whole new ecosystem of AI agent creation, you really want to understand those fundamentals and really start to get familiar with playing with that flow to create products and diving deep like we did here, so that you can kind of share that within your own hiring process, within your own interviews at other companies, since this is a very big skill being asked more and more as we advance within this new AI era. So again, thank you for your time. I hope it was helpful, and have a great day. All right, thank you again for your time learning these concepts with me. Now, if you want to go deeper, check out the free Agentic AI Career Boost webinar. We'll walk you through the new AI hiring landscape, skills that top teams like OpenAI and DataDog actually test for, a roadmap for building agentic AI systems to get attention from these companies, and lastly, how to make your resume stand out for these roles. Overall, YouTube videos are great, but you're going to be more likely to succeed if you have a structured, well-organized path to learn these concepts and apply them within these critical interviews. Thanks again.